7:44 is your time, and as promised, we're stepping right into a power interview with Mr. Charles McErik. Oileng Hore is going to have a conversation with us about what you just heard at the State of the Nation address just a few days ago. His Excellency President Advocate Duma Boko abuaka this new industry. Oileng Hore, we are going to try and be a part of $1 million industry. We already taking part in. So because we were on social media. So to help us, Mr. Charles McErik. Good morning, sir, and thank you so much for joining us.
Hello and good morning. Charles McErik here.
Morning, sir.
Very good morning.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So after the State of the Nation address, His Excellency mentioned tapping into the medicinal cannabis and industrial hemp industry. That. Let's just start with this one. I think the first misconception is that marijuana is being legalized in Botswana. Is that the case?
Right, before I jump into it, I'm Charles McErik from McErik Artinis. I'm the managing partner there. Most importantly, this matter in relation to cultivation of hemp. I had then decided to focus my profession and being a lawyer in 2019 and opened my law firm to focus in trying to legalize the cultivation of hemp, right? Because I figured that my Eastern bosses would not allow me to focus solely on hemp. So in 2019, I only had one case. It was hemp. I only had one client. The client that you get to know in due course. And also, the first advocate I employed as an attorney owning my own law firm was the one and the only advocate Duma Boko. I'm very happy, ecstatic, saying I'm excited would be not sufficient, but right to the point. In the SONA speech that he made, he was referring to cultivation of cannabis and largely hemp. I think as it stands now, it is not legal, right? But now he's just making deliverables to say, look, this is what I want to do, and for you to legalize the cultivation of hemp, you need to follow certain procedures. One is that you would have to battle with the Plant Protection Act. There's an exemption that you need to get from the Minister of Agriculture for you to start cultivating hemp, which is cannabis, right? And I will, during the interview, also try to differentiate between what is hemp and what is cannabis. What we normally would refer to as marijuana. Yeah, so I want to because it appears for a hatautona abuaka cannabis. Right? But I think that is not what he's talking about. To some extent, yes, but holistically, he's focused on things like hempcrete, things which are more useful. And you'll get to understand for it is not all hemp or all cannabis that gives you that high. We're not focused on that. We're trying to resuscitate the economy. I think primarily we will then secondarily or at some point then try to focus into recreational use of cannabis. But I think where we are now, we are trying to resuscitate the economy, create employment. We have a mammoth task of creating 500,000 jobs by 2029. And the cannabis industry on its own, we are promising at least 1,800 jobs per constituency. And by 2027, we aim to have at least, and this is only my personal crunch of numbers, at least 104,000 jobs created solely from hemp and hemp value chains, which is beneficiation of hemp and hemp products.
Yes, sir.
Now, to the point, you'll understand that the element in cannabis sativa, that is the scientific name of hemp, you'll have THC and then you'll have CBD. Now, the THC is the one that gives you the high. It is the one which would have 0.03% in terms of percentages.
It's found more cannabis, right?
In cannabis.
Okay.
So that is the one that will give you that high. But we want to use that high for other things, not for recreational purposes, but for medicinal purposes. You'd understand that a lot of good things anywhere in the world, they've been susceptible to abuse, right? But you'd understand that we have been using, in South Africa, they're using Canada, which is made from cannabis. It is used to assist treating HIV alongside with ARV. Understand that this is purely organic.
Yeah.
It is used to help to treat HIV and treat the side effects of HIV, and also to a greater extent to subside cancer. So we are more focused on the medicinal purposes of cultivating hemp, and also on the other side, the industrial purposes, which will be towards building materials and what have you. We understand that it is the cheapest form of building material, which does not is not susceptible to termites, and it is fireproof. It's been proven to be fireproof. And we're living in a semi-arid desert.
Yeah.
And you would understand that you don't need a lot of water to cultivate hemp. It is it can be cultivated in areas where we can reach about 45 degrees in terms of temperatures. So I think hemp has come home. It is time for us to cultivate. But most importantly, I think Botswana how do I become part of the hemp industry?
Yes.
Yeah, can I just have my simo and
my hemp. Yeah.
And look the other way? No. There's a lot of procedure that you need to follow in terms of licensing. The last time I checked, there were about 26 requirements that you have to follow. That is because, among many other things, is to avoid things like cross-pollination.
Yeah.
You not have masimo a hemp right? You not have hemp in a place where they can be, like I said, cross-pollination, where now you can have hemp all over the place. No. You're going to raise or cultivate hemp in a more controlled environment. You're going to have to build tunnels. You're going to have to control humidity. You're going to have to control the temperature. You're going to have to nurse it. This is a plant that takes 4 to 6 months for you to cultivate, right? You're going to want to employ somebody who's a scientist, somebody with knowledge. And we're trying to bring everybody from all over the world who has a lot of experience in cultivating hemp to come and help us, to come and train, transfer of skills. We want to be independently cultivating hemp from 2029 going forward. And like Mr. President said, in other countries like the US, the income is over $444 billion.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I think one of the questions that I was seeing on social media quite often is, will the everyday Botswana be able to tap into this industry, or will it be something, say, is reserved for the elite? We've seen sometimes some of these industries, but how ka kwa tsena hela go batla go na le dithanele go batla go control the humidity. Exactly. So do you think that the everyday Botswana would be able to tap into this industry?
Tapping into cultivation of hemp is not easy, but it is quite demanding. You need to firstly, it's not something that you can just broadcast and start cultivating. You need to get trained first to understand how to grow hemp, because it is a new thing. It's a new thing in the market, and quite honestly, you also need to have infrastructure that can support cultivation of hemp. There's a requirement for security. It's going to be a high security. If it's a site, it's going to be a high security site. You don't want people to easily have access, or animals to easily have access. And obviously, it's going to be a cultivation that is going to be in so much demand. So obviously, you need a high level of security. But it is difficult but doable. It means that people can even form syndicates in a similar traditional way that it has been expensive to drill a borehole. But Botswana, they form syndicates and contribute to say, look, we are going to drill this borehole.
Okay.
So it is not easy, but it's doable.
All right.
Okay.
3161 006 006. We are with Mr. Charles McErik, and we work medicinal cannabis and industrial hemp. Mr. Musarwa, how are you, my brother? Welcome, Mr. Maleb.
Good morning so much. Thank you so much for giving us time to talk to you, my brother.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to find out, what is our opportunity in terms of the value chain? And I ask this based on the fact that obviously people have jumped onto Google and seen the value chain and all of that. get in. And for an everyday Botswana, where is the lower hanging fruit if we cannot own a field or we can't own the plantation or whatever the situation is?
Yeah.
What is the everyday lower hanging fruit opportunities for guys like us in this street? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Musaro.
you.
Thank you, sir. All right.
Yeah, hemp has over 50,000 uses, so no one is going to get left behind. There are people who are going to be making straws, the straw from hemp.
Yeah.
There's somebody who's going to be making a straw from hemp. There's somebody who's going to be packaging straws for hemp. So we are not going to leave anybody out of the value chain. We are going to be having people who are disabled to just sit down and dry the hemp, to pack the hemp. It's a straw. It doesn't have to be upside down. It's a straw. Either way is still correct. So we're going to have these people living with disability to be helping us with this project. This is not my project. This is the people's project. Yeah, we're going to have so many people from whichever level of the economy to participate in this project. So nobody is going to be left out. We're all going to contribute towards our economy. We all need to resuscitate the economy, and I rest assure you that anybody who has interest, the value chain from cultivation of hemp, from cold pressing of hemp, from actually selling hemp in shops and what have you, we are going to create employment. We're going to create hubs for selling products that have been made from hemp. So everybody, out of the 50,000 users, surely anybody and everyone should have some contribution towards the cultivation of hemp.
Are those 50,000 users? Because I feel like still when people think hemp, they're only thinking marijuana.
Yeah.
They're not thinking t-shirt we are wearing hemp.
Yes.
You can have t-shirt diaparo tsa hemp.
Yeah.
So maybe are hemp e ka dira se, e ka dira se, e ka dira se.
Yes.
Well, let me just take you back. You know, the reason why Botswana is a hemp as a shirt, like hemp.
Yes.
It's made from hemp.
Oh, lovely.
And remember, this was in the United States, and this cultivation of hemp at the time, it was done by slaves. And they were allowed to cultivate hemp and make shirts, which is called hemp.
Hemp.
From the hemp fibers, because it was the strongest material. So remember that slaves would wear the same shirt the whole year or even more.
Yeah.
So if at the time anybody in the US could be part of the value chain management and the value chain beneficiation of hemp, why can't we? Right?
Yeah.
So there are going to be other people who are going to be at the high end of cultivation of hemp, and there are going to be other people who are going to be at the low end of cultivation, and depending on their capacity and their skills. So I think to answer that question is really everybody is going to be part and parcel of this project.
Okay.
We just need to have people to be patient enough to follow the process and allow government to lead us into what we must do, how we must do it, and when we must do it. But 5 years is a very short time. We need to get started.
Yeah. And on the medicinal cannabis side, are CBD oils things that we're looking at? Get out of house and I'm marketing to do South Africa. They have really gotten into the industry. They're producing things like the oil, it's arthritis. Is that something that we are also looking at?
All right.
Yeah.
Sheila, good morning.
Hi, how are you?
We are
Well,
we're
Sheila.
Guys, that is so exciting. We have the company. I don't know what is the years before Darlington got like a 40 by 10 or 20 by 10 was. And we on it, how does I do and kind of let the young every open night and open up the door, but over I get that report, man.
Okay.
Thank you, Sheila.
Thank you, Sheila. Lovely.
Right. I'll answer your question and then yours.
Yeah.
I think Botswana Gulabing also need to understand that you can grow cannabis on a trolley. Which a trolley can be 2 meters by 3 meters. That is sufficient to earn you a living if you are growing cannabis. It's one of the most profitable cultivations you can ever do. So you don't need 100 hectares or 10 hectares, or even 1 hectare. You can have a trolley, maybe even 10 trolleys, which are 10 by 10. They are obviously designed to, you need to have them with the right levels of humidity, and what have you, temperatures and the like, and obviously exposure to sunlight. But you don't need a huge amount of land. But here we are saying that the economy is down. So you need to go knee deep, you need to go bigger.
Yeah.
You need to have tunnels. You need to have 100 tunnels. You need to start building. You need to, like I said, we're going to have, well, at least this is my vision of it. We want to have Botswana from all over Botswana. That is why I said we're going to have all these things in all the constituencies in Botswana. It's not a political statement. It's simply just to say that my vision will be to empower all Botswana and all over the country to be part of this project.
Right.
Unfortunately, time is not on our side. I really wish we could talk to you for the entire show. But for anyone that has questions, anyone that wants to buy a bit more, how can they get in touch with you and how?
Definitely, anybody who wants to know about cannabis can get a hold of me at 316-316-5472. That is McErik attorneys. I'll be able to help you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. McErik. Thank you so much for coming. All right.
Thank you so much, T.
Nice one. It's 8 o'clock and it's time for the news.